Hello everyone and welcome to Travel Massive Live. Today we have three amazing, inspiring female leaders that are going to share their stories and how they're going to tell us more about their projects and how are they empowering all females in the travel industry. Today we have Beth Santos, that is the founder of Wanderful. We have Ana Jimenez, Senior Manager Strategic Partnerships at CIC, and also co-founder of Women in E-Travel. We also have Alessandra Alonso, who is the founder of Women in Travel. Just to remind all of you that this webinar is recorded, you can use the chat box on your right at any time to post your questions for our three female speakers today, and then we'll get back to those questions at the end of the presentations. Each speaker will have around 6 to 8 minutes to present their projects. Just get feedback, ask your questions, be inspired, and yes, we can go from there. Okay, Beth, whenever you're ready, please tell us more about your project and tell us about your journey in the tourism industry.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for having me, and Maria and Ann at Travel Massive. You guys are awesome just to be putting this together. And I think, you know, whenever the new year starts rolling around and March starts approaching and it's Women's Month, I think we really start remembering some of the really important issues that we're facing in the travel industry. And I want to talk a little bit about some of those issues that I know Ana and Alessandra will also be very much related to. So it'll be good to kind of kick us all off and get us on the same page. But I also want to tell you a little bit about our own story too with Wanderful. So I'm just gonna share our screen a little bit here and let me know when you all see it, those of you who, or Maria maybe, okay, cool. So everyone sees it. So this is Wanderful. This is the organization that I started, and actually it was about 10 years ago that Wanderful started as a blog, and I'll tell you a little bit more about our journey. When we first began, we actually began in a country called Sao Tome and Principe. I'm just trying to advance there we are. So here's a nice old photo of me. Oh, it looks like the screen went funny, but that's okay, you can still see. Nice old photo of me at bright young 22 years old, living off the west coast of Africa in a small country called Sao Tome, and started writing my own stories as a traveler. I found that I was traveling on my own, and really I think there are a lot of things that we women experience when we travel to different places, and the fundamental thing is that women's experiences around the world are really different wherever we go. And back when I was doing this for the very first time, I really felt very lonely and realized didn't realize how many other women there were actually traveling the world. Fast forward to today, it's actually a real industry-wide issue that we're seeing. Women consumers actually completely dominate the travel industry, yet at the same time, there's a lot that is not being considered in terms of women's needs. Let me give you a couple stats so you can kind of get on the same page here. 80% of all travel decisions are made by women. 2 out of every 3 travelers identify as female nowadays, and solo female travelers are expected to spend about $800 billion on their travels. That's more than the entire global beauty industry. So when we think about the impact that women travelers have, it is absolutely enormous. And yet time and again, when we actually talk about travel in that context, people go, oh, women in travel, that's a nice niche. Why did you focus on that? And I went, actually, it's not a niche. It's the predominating industry. And so to really be mindful about the fact that there are so many women traveling the world, and yet at the same time, really feeling that the industry often isn't as inclusive and isn't as equitable as it could be. Those are some of the challenges that we faced. And so you can see, ignored, misrepresented, stereotyped by the travel industry and also by travel in general. And so when we started Wanderful, initially it was in the written space, but then eventually started hosting events around the world, and I'll go into the details of those. But really fundamentally, we're all about helping women travel the world and using a live network of other women to do that, both on the consumer side and just providing resources, providing tips and advice to get women out there, but then also thinking about the industry side as well. So this says we do this by activating a live network of women all across the globe that can guide one another. But then also we're recognizing that part of the issue here is that even though the travel industry is dominated by women, if we look at senior leadership and we look at the predominant voices in the space, they are not as inclusive as they should be. And so a second part of what we're really focused on is actually lifting the voices of women who are creating in this space, whether they're influencers, whether they're small business owners, and really helping them to advance in the industry so that they can further representation for all of us. And we do that in a few ways. Number one is chapters all around the world. So you'll see 40 different Wanderful chapters for women to connect with one another in person or meet up with other people whenever they go on their next trip. We have a live virtual membership community so that women can find their next travel buddy wherever they go. We host a very popular conference called the Women in Travel Summit. This is a digital marketing conference for travel influencers and bloggers and the industry members that want to work with them. And this picture is actually our very first WiT Europe. Now we're doing them on 2 continents every year, and this was in Riga, Latvia. The Bessie Awards was launched last year to honor women of impact in the travel space, both on the creator side and on the brand side. And the Wanderful Creator Collective, which is a space where we're really helping travel creators build and grow, not only to create useful content for themselves, but also to really further out missions of travel brands to better enhance their marketing portfolios and speak to women in a more authentic way. And a couple other exciting things that are happening include something that I can only just tease now, which is a global festival that will be launching in about a month. So I hope you all stay tuned for that. We're going to be taking our love of travel outside and convening in a really special place in the world. And then our last project is the world's first identity verified woman-to-woman home sharing network to help women stay with people that they can trust wherever they go. And so you'll see that a lot of the things that we're doing really focus on the central needs of a community and then creating products and services that serve them so that we can make the world a little bit more inclusive, a little bit more connected, because our overall vision is to create a space where women can show up in any airport around the world and have access to people who can help them, and that the travel industry is therefore also more equitable. Now we're reaching over 100 million women across all age demographics. That is through our events as well as our social media input. And of course, I know we've got a short period of time and I'm hitting my 6 minutes. And so what I wanted to do for those of you watching on Travel Massive is just give you some tips on how to find us, both checking out our website, sheswanderful.com, and our membership community there. We also have 2 thriving Facebook groups. Wanderful Women Who Travel is our consumer group, and Women Travel Creators is for anyone who identifies as a creator, whether you're an influencer or a blogger, whether you've built a company in the space. We'd love for you to share your stories, and we'd love to be able to support you. And then the Women in Travel Summit, there is actually, for those of you who are Travel Massive Pro members, you do get $50 off your tickets to WiT. So go check that out in your member platform and get the discount there. We'd love to see you, but ultimately hope to see so much more of you both around the internet and wherever our chapters intersect worldwide. And that's it for me. Can't wait to hear the questions, and thanks everyone for having me today.
Thank you, Beth. It's so inspiring to see such a powerful community. So I'm sure there will be some questions in the chat box. Guys, whoever is joining us live, please use the chat box on your right to post your questions for Beth and for a wonderful community, and then we'll get back to them after the 3 presentations. Anna, it's your turn. Tell us more about your project and how are you empowering female leaders in the travel industry?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Maria. It's so inspiring to hear Beth's initiative and all the projects that all of you are working on. And I'm sure today we're going to hear some more initiative and projects that all the community is working on. So today I'm going to talk about women in e-travel. So let me share my screen first. 1 second. You see my screen? Okay, so as Maria was mentioning before, I'm on the corporate side of the sector. So I work at Kayak as a strategic partnership manager for our global affiliates. But besides that, on parallel, I'm co-founder of Women in e-Travel. It's an initiative to connect and empower women women from the online travel industry. So I'm gonna show you a little bit the initiatives that we are working on, and we have been also working on some projects with Alessandra here, with Beth, and with many of you. So I'm very excited to be sharing our story here today. So who is behind Women in Travel? We are an association, a non-profit association, and the three founders, it's myself, Sarah Pastor, which is Managing Director, Destinations for Adara, and Lara Ocon, which is Director, Customer Success on InFly. So the three of us are coming from the corporate side of the travel industry, and we all been sharing similar experiences in the past while we are developing our professional career. So what's our vision with Women in Travel? It's gender balance, visibility, and leadership 50-50. We believe that that's something really important, and that many of us are working hard to try to reach this 50-50 balance. What's our mission? Well, we are very optimistic there, and we want to change the status quo. We want obviously to increase visibility of women in the travel tech industry, especially in the tech side of the travel industry. We want to foster a networking community, and I'm going to develop that a bit more after, a community where we can empower leadership and self-confidence. And of course, we really are here to support other projects like Alessandra, like Beth, and many other projects that we see that are happening everywhere in the same markets, in other markets, global wise, online, offline. So there is a lot happening out there, and we want and we have to help each other and join forces on this mission, because at the end, the more we are, the best, of course. So our values, trust, we really want to create this trust into our community, visibility of all of us that are here in the street, that we are working hard, but we don't really put our face out there. We don't have that visibility yet, and we are pushing and supporting each other to give the visibility that we really need to change the status quo. Empowerment and knowledge sharing. So that's the core values, which you're going to see with the activities that we are working on. Objectives of Women in Travel, well, to organize networking events. Networking seems to feel like harder for women. I don't know why, and maybe not everyone agrees with me, but when you go to a networking event, sometimes you feel like you are out of place, or that it's not what you were expecting. You don't know how to behave, maybe it's too corporate and you don't feel comfortable. So we really think that it's hard for us to fit in some environments. So we change it and make it work the other way around. We are making networking easier for us, and we are kind of training ourselves to get more into networking and to change a little bit the style of the existing networking, creating a different concept and a more safe space. We are also preparing workshops to increase our members' leadership skills and self-confidences. So we are doing some personal branding, some career development, salary negotiation, a lot of very specific workshops that are helping the community to increase their self-confidence, but also to position themselves as leaders in the market, because they really are, but they have to be more visible out there in the industry. That brings me to the next one, to give visibility to existing female leaders to serve as role models, and I'm going to touch that after. We don't have enough role models. We do have a lot of women out there in senior positions, but they are not showing their face in events, in conferences as speakers, in magazines. So we do have to push ourselves and empower each other to show out there and tell the world that we are here, that we know all about the industry, that we have a lot of specialists and senior leaders in there, and also to inspire the younger generations that are coming out of university and they are missing these role models. So that's also a very important objective and mission for us. And the last objective, to be a platform to share professional opportunities. So with this network that we are creating, this professional network with senior profiles from all sides of the business, OTAs, meta search, content creators, event organizers, airlines, and so on. So we are creating this network where we saw already many professional opportunities happening, where people was looking for someone for their team, and someone from the community was matching with this profile. And we are kind of the cupidos on the professional side of the business, and also increased participation in other events and conferences. So we are also trying to propose to event organizers to invite some female guest speakers, because a common excuse or explanation we found out is that no, there is no women expert in this area. That's not true. There is always a woman that knows about the subject. It's just that we need to do some research, we need to ask around, and for sure there is someone that can talk about the topic. It's just that maybe it's behind the scenes, or it's not empowered enough to put out their face. So that's a little bit the recap of objectives. So why did Women in Travel started? Because of that. That's what I was saying. So if you check out there all the industry conferences, events, not of course the ones that Alessandra organized, but in general, all the events out there, you see this. Women in math. How many women you see in this picture? Also, in travel, you go to Fitur, you go to WTM, you go to ITV. It's 99% men out there. How many women you know that could be out there? Why we don't have more women in there? So that's a little bit why we decided to rebel and fight against that, and join forces and try to change that. And that's not easy. It sounds easy, but it's an education that we are doing as well with the industry. So you can change what you can see. So that's our claim. We want to change things. We want to show that we can do things differently. Challenge, this is just a recap that we were working on. So we have a lack of role models. We're working on that. Gender stereotypes, and that's something that Beth was mentioning as well before. Competence versus popularity bias, competence versus potential bias, a lot of social barriers, maternity, and so on, and so on. There are many more. And just a recap of past events and activities that we've done so far during the past year. We've done many afterworks and networking events. You can see that the people seems very relaxed. We normally do it in a nice rooftop or in a cozy bar. So we try to create this safe space where women feel comfortable. We also have some men coming because they want to be part of the community. So everyone is welcome. And it's something that our community is asking, to have more frequent afterworks and networking events, because yeah, this safe space is something that is really working for us, and it's creating a very healthy and powerful community. A coffee with female leaders. So we started that as well a year ago. So we are trying to connect with some senior leaders from the travel industry, and we create this reduced group, maximum 20 people. So in this case, we had Diana Robinho, which is the global head of strategic partnerships at MasterCard for travel industry, and we had a group of 20 people. We hear her story, how he managed to grow her career, combining it with maternity, the challenges, and it was a very nice and cozy environment, and very productive and insightful for everyone, for her and for the group. Business breakfast and professional workshops. As I was saying before, we identify the needs from the group. It can be negotiation skills, it can be salary negotiation, it can be personal branding, public speaking, anything. We bring an expert and we have a workshop. So here, I'm sure many of you could be potential speakers for our future events, because we really need specialists in each area, and each of you is really insightful and knowledgeable about everything in your area. Panels and conferences. And now I just remind that we did something at WTM with Alexandra that I could have add here a picture, that we are working together with some event organizations and trade shows like WTM, Fitur, ITV, where we organize some conferences, or they organize it and we propose speakers from the community. So this one is from last 2 weeks ago, actually, in Madrid at Fitur, where we had a full panel of women. In this case, we had the Tour Spain organization, Booking.com, and then a travel influencer, Marina Comas, the three of them talking about the industry and how we have to talk to the users and adapt the tone and the message for women out there. So it was a very interesting panel, and we had some media coverage. And then the last area we are covering, it's media and PR. So this is an example. We are working as well with Tour Spain, which is the National Tourist Board of Spain, creating content for them. So we launched a series of interviews where we are interviewing some of our women, professional women, telling their story and doing some more personal questions about what's their professional evolution, their growth, and what they think about innovation. So positioning them as experts on the field. And that's the second round of interviews. We have like 8 more coming soon. And this is also having a lot of media coverage. We are trying to expand that internationally as well in other markets. What do members say about us? So as I was mentioning, it's a safe space, politics free, positive vibes. We are all givers. We are very passionate, knowledge sharing, personal and professional development. So that's really great words for us to hear that they are really into that, and that we all are givers, because that's how we want it to be a sharing community.
Anna,
I'm running out of time.
Yes, so okay. Just wrap it up and then we can give the word to Alessandra.
Perfect. So yeah, that's the next event. So we have some events coming up in Berlin with an afterwork and also a presentation, Barcelona after the Mobile World Congress, and some in-company coaching sessions. In Madrid, we are also collaborating with the University of Surrey and Rey Juan Carlos, and we are doing a workshop. So that's what's coming. To stay in touch with us, you can join the community. So womenintravel.com, you can just register and you're gonna receive all the updates, or you can follow us on LinkedIn. We have a group there where we share all the updates, or in Instagram, we were also sharing some videos and some inspirational quotes for all the activities that we do. That's it from me. Sorry if I extended it a bit, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Alessandra, let us know what you're working on and how do you help in empowering women in travel?
Thank you, and Travel Massive for hosting. Thank you for having me, having Women in Travel, and in the spirit of collaboration, Beth, thank you for holding my presentation, as I can't do it from iPad. I don't know if it's me or what, but thank you for doing that. So yes, Women in Travel is a social enterprise, and we are 3 years old. As a social enterprise, we are basically a commercial company with a social purpose. The social purpose drives everything that we do. And although we are sort of developing, and we have developed a commercial proposition to work with industry and with individual, we as a social enterprise reinvest all the profit into our mission. So we don't distribute dividend. So we are unlikely to get very rich, but that's not the drive really. The drive is to support women empowerment through employability and entrepreneurship in travel and tourism and hospitality. And Beth, if you can click to the next slide, please. This mission is, as I said, 3 years old, and we want to be a catalyst for change. I guess that I have about 15 years supporting women in the travel and tourism industry. In 2004, we launched the very first gender consulting in travel and tourism and hospitality in the UK, and also co-founded with my then business partner the Shine Awards, which in the UK were the very first awards for women in travel and tourism and hospitality. Now, fast forward to 2017, when Women in Travel CIC was formalized in a social enterprise. I guess that my vision has changed somewhat in that compared to 15 years ago, there is much greater awareness around women's role in society and women's role and contribution in travel and tourism. But what we still lack and what I still experience on a regular basis is very much a lack of understanding that there are many women out there who are actually not even sitting at that table. So yes, it's important to support women who are in the industry, but it's also equally important, if not more, to support those who are sort of away, remote from the industry. And the reason why is that there are many underrepresented groups on the one hand, but on the other, here is an industry that can only thrive on employing and retaining talented people. So the very fact that we don't fish from the whole pond, whether in the UK, in Europe, or internationally, tells you that the industry is eventually going to lose out. Now, in the UK, I am told that any day there are 11,000 unfulfilled positions in hospitality. So you can imagine how much talent is needed. And Women in Travel has evolved somewhat since its early days of 2017. So as you can see in the slide, we now have 3 sort of logos. So we've got a main logo, Women in Travel, that really represents all the women in the travel and tourism community. And then we focus also on 2 groups. One is BAME, Women in Travel, so an initiative that is driven to support women from Black and Asian minorities and communities who are looking to particularly work in the sort of digital marketing, content creation, as Beth was referring to before, and who are also sort of taking their first steps in travel and tourism. And then the Women Returners, which we launched 2 years ago, and that is a program to identify and select marginalized women to then train them and put them in front of travel and tourism employers. So here you really see the full extent of the spectrum of women that we sort of work with. In terms of our tools for empowerment, training, event, and already my 2 fellow speakers have mentioned some of the events that we run, such as World Travel Market, where we are always very happy to sort of collaborate, and Beth has been a mentor, and obviously Women in E-Travel has also worked with us on a panel. So a lot is going on there, but also partnership with employers. So if I can sort of, Beth, ask you to click again. You can see here some of the companies we work with, and particularly this is sort of representative of one event that we have just run in Iceland, the very first International Women in Travel and Tourism Forum. Some of you might have seen on social media. It was a pretty incredible event for a variety of reasons, some better than others. The weather wasn't on our side, but eventually we ran this first event, and we've already announced that we are going to run a second one in Morocco in the first week of February in 2021 in Marrakesh. PIC, DMC, and Intrepid have already pledged their support, and hopefully, you know, we are doing the round now, but the feedback is so overwhelmingly positive that we hope that all these companies and more will want to stay involved. So I guess that there is also an element of advocacy in what we do inevitably, but you know, really our focus is on projects that we can work with the industry with, such as the Women Returner. So for the next slides, Beth, sorry, yeah, and this is a sort of, this is BAME Women in Travel. The slide before was about the forum, and that slide had also the First Lady of Iceland right in the middle. This is BAME Women in Travel. So you can see here, there is a new Jamie Lee Apter, who is joining us as new executive director. Hasn't even been announced formally, so you heard it here first. But I'm delighted that she is coming on board, and Yolanda, who was formerly sort of managing the BAME Women in Travel, is taking a sabbatical and had to step down for personal reason, but we are continuing to engage this community sort of with events and further opportunities. So stay tuned, because there will be a lot of new announcements made very soon. And finally, for the next slide, so the Women Returners. And I guess that this is a project that is really close to my heart, because it's a project that changes life. And so I am really proud of, you know, working with a series of businesses who are willing to really engage with us, looking at women and community who perhaps, you know, won't be visible to them on a normal basis, but that have absolutely the talent and the and the skills, and certainly the dedication to work with industry. So we obviously are going to grow this, and in fact, the next slide tells you, Beth, if you don't mind, sorry, and one more. I'm conscious of time, so I want to quickly go through one more, sorry. Yeah, so in recent time, we've just gained access to some public sector funding from the European Union to run a project called FEAST, a Female Employability Action Supported by Travel and Tourism, that actually will train 120 women and then give these women further opportunity to be seen by employers and or further their training and upskilling. So I think all in all, we are here to really support women at many different levels. And we absolutely invite everyone to engage with us, Twitter, social media, and there might be another slide, but I'm not, yeah, absolutely. So here you see how to contact us and engage with us. So please do feel free to reach out to us, whether you are an individual, whether you are part of a company. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Alessandra. That was also very interesting. We do have time for a few questions. I think I can ask one question each. Lisa is asking, I think this can go to Beth. Lisa is asking, what are your top tips for women in travel looking to move into leadership positions?
Oh my gosh, and I actually feel like Anna and Alessandra could answer this one really well too, because you're working in the industry, in the growth of the industry more. I would say, first of all, you know, finding a mentor is a really key part of that, but also keeping in mind, I think one thing that we all believe in, but Anna talked a little bit about it, is oftentimes we fall into this habit of thinking, okay, in order to support women in travel, we have to kind of talk and connect with our fellow women. But actually, I think more and more we need to bring men and other genders into the conversation as well, and make sure that they understand the real benefit that this is going to have to the whole industry. So when I say this, I'm saying, you know, reach out to not just female mentors, but also male mentors, and really show them that this is something that you believe really strongly in. But yeah, Alessandra and Anna, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else to that.
I think sorry, Anna, I can echo, you know, what you said about the mentoring. Absolutely. I mean, that is fundamental, and it came out of the international forum, the importance of mentoring. And in fact, we are going to launch an international mentoring program for the next generation leader who were attending, not possibly not for all of them, but for some of them. And I guess that, you know, leadership, if leadership for you is climbing the career ladder, then I think you really need to think about what are the aspects and what are the traits of leaders that you admire. So think about, you know, your ability to communicate, your resilience, engaging with others and building relationships. And those are things that women can normally do very well. What women, in my experience, do less well generally is the political side of leadership. So if you want to climb the career ladder, you need to be quite a political animal. You have to be also quite prepared to navigate, you know, the corridors and understand and work your way to influence and impact others. So first of all, ask yourself, you know, how good you are at those things. And secondly, identify people, mentor and role model who do it well, who can perhaps share some tips and opportunities and technique with you.
Thank you. You both mentioned something about mentors. Can you tell us, like, so we can share with all the females that are listening right now, like, what should you be looking in a mentor? How can you get in touch? How can you find like a good mentor to have in this industry?
Anna, do you want to say?
Yeah, I think all of us can also share our experience. I think there are many options here. So there are already existing initiatives, public and private, where there is a program to offer a mentorship. Like Alexandra mentioned some of the sessions that they were running at WTM, but there are some public organisms as well that are offering mentorship for specific sectors, but also more general. So you can look at that. I think it's important to know yourself, to understand, okay, what do I want? How is my leadership style? Because there are many different leadership styles. So you need to feel comfortable, at least that's my personal experience. You need to define, understand and get to know better yourself, define what's the leadership style that you want to follow, and then find a role model and just teach them. Try to reach out these people that inspires you in the industry, no matter if it's female or male, it doesn't matter. Reach them, tell them your story, ask for help. You would be surprised because you will get some positive answer. Just for a coffee, ask them, can I have 5 minutes of your time, just a coffee? I want to hear your story. And we don't do that often. And that's something I've been discussing with my network. We normally are very shy, and it's like, nah, I don't write to them because they are not going to write me back. Just try. We don't lose anything. And I think just do that with everyone that inspires you. That's maybe a potential mentor and people that you can learn a lot about. But I think first, know yourself and define what kind of leader you want to be. But that's my very personal opinion.
Awesome. Do any of you know any specific mentorship programs for females that we can share with the audience?
So in the UK, yes, there are. I think the best thing would be actually if people, I know quite a few organizations around mentoring program, but rather than try and remembering them all now, if people are interested, just email me and I can give you plenty of information around it. I would say, I would add to what Anna said, also make sure that you know what you want out of the mentoring, because, you know, you could have different mentors for different purposes.
And just to add to that quickly too, I think when we talk about the word mentor, I think sometimes people think that that's like a very formalized arrangement and you have to kind of approach somebody and say, like, would you like to be my mentor? And then you set up a schedule or whatever. And it's not that, it doesn't have to be that formal. I think really finding somebody who you really admire, whose path is interesting to you. And then, as Anna said, just inviting them out for a cup of coffee and just seeing where that goes. And then if after you meet for a couple times, you say, I'd really love to just continue this conversation, and maybe once every quarter pick your brain for 30 minutes and buy you a cup of coffee, would that be okay? I think they're great, just informal ways to have mentor relationships. And sometimes I think those are the best ones because you've really decided for yourself who that mentor is, and you're able to really have a personal relationship with them. But yeah, we have a bunch of programs in the US too, but I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, so can certainly follow up.
That's okay. Yes, you can just send me an email with whatever you can think of, and I can add those in the webinar recap for people to just see. We do have time for one more question, I believe. Are there any woman-focused investment funds or angels that invest in woman-led travel or tourism startups? Do you know of any?
So many here.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, so
ahead.
I can.
Unfortunately, not at the European end, so many.
Oh, okay. So here in the US, we have a lot of investing happening in women-focused businesses. Now, travel and tourism specifically, I would start with actually the angle of women-focused businesses, and then look at the specific investor to see what their past history is in travel. But a few I can tell you right now include Portfolio and Pipeline Angels. Both of those are actually really cool programs because they teach women how to be investors, and then in their first cohort, they have to make an investment, and so they do a whole pitch competition. Golden Seeds is a large organization here that does women focus. X Factor Ventures is a VC firm that exclusively focuses on women businesses. And then I think it's the Female Founders Fund and Women 2.0, which was a media site. They actually recently launched a fund as well. So there's quite a bit. Now, there's a lot, but it's still paltry compared to what the men are getting. We have to, and I think it's 2% that women are getting in terms of the funding, but it's getting marginally better.
In Spain, we have one. It's called WiT. It's not specific about the travel industry, but they are all women, and it's growing, all the business angels, and they are investing only in startups that have at least, I think, 50% of the founders and of the management are female. So they work all sectors. Not specifically travel, but it's a very mediatic initiative, and I think that's going to grow more, but still it's nothing compared to what we really need out there, and nothing compared to US. But there are a few starting and growing.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that there are a few. So I have yet to find business angel or investor that are specifically looking at women-led startups in travel. There are some in technology. There are, funds, finance, yes, but the travel side, I think, is not quite as big. There are individual women sort of investors, so that do put some funding into, again, women-led travel and hospitality, but I think you are looking at tiny percentage. Having said that, I think it's a matter of, if your idea is strong, I assume that it will be looked at by a variety, whether they are already in travel or not. But I think there certainly isn't one specific to it, as far as I know.
Amazing. Thank you all. Please share all these links that we mentioned and all these programs that we mentioned with me over email, and then I will share that with everyone who's watching. We should wrap this up. This was an amazing webinar. We will do this again for sure. So I shared the link in the chat box for everyone who wants to present their story, their project that is empowering women in travel. You can be a speaker at our next webinars in the next months. So thank you again to our guest speakers today. You were very, very thorough in your presentations. Thank you for sharing your story and inspiring other people in the industry. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, and we'll see you in other webinars. We will support your projects on Travel Massive. If you want to say last words.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.